Everybody, welcome back to Plum Figgy. This is Tammy. Okay, so if you remember, I had uh, purchased and printed out and tea-dyed this super cute little journaling kits, digital kits from Louisa Heinzel with the cute little woodland creatures on it. And I never got around to doing anything with those. And so today, as I was cleaning up from Halloween and just everything that I've been working on lately, I found them in this little package along with these other pre-tea dyed fall papers, and I thought, well, let's just go ahead and make a journal today. And honestly, I didn't know how long it was going to take, but I thought, well, I'll just turn on the video camera and we'll see what happens and go from there. So that's kind of what I did, and I did the whole thing all in one go today, which I don't normally do, but I thought it might be kind of fun to just speed up the video and do a voiceover and kind of walk you through what I'm doing. So, not super anything, uh, it's pretty much the same kind of deal that I normally do. I like to prep my pages for my signatures first and then just lay out all my ephemera and decorating things sorry, fixing the camera position there, and then just kind of going page by page and deciding which pages need to have some decoration and which ones don't. And so yeah, and so these are actually pages from a 6x6 paper pad. I cannot tell you what the pad was called at the moment. I don't. I dyed those like 3 years ago now at this point, and they've just been in my, well, they were coffee dyed actually, coffee dyed stash for this long, and kind of they just were always towards the bottom, and so anyway, I thought I'd pair them with her awesome digital kit, ephemera digital kit, and see how it went, and I think it turned out really cute. So anyway, let me talk to you about what I'm doing here. So I had one extra piece of the 6x6 paper, and left over, so I just divided that in half and decided to turn that into two different journaling cards. And here I'm adding eyelets to the card and the little piece of ephemera, so that I can join them together. And so pulling out some bulb pins there, and then some tiny little jingle bells that I really like, that are so much fun to add to projects. And so just kind of prepping what I'm hopefully gonna do here. I kind of struggled with this a little bit. I was hoping it would fall the way that I wanted it to, well, lay the way I wanted it to lay. I should have known better than that. I've done this how long now? I should have known better. So at this point I'm realizing I need to add a piece of string or something and attach them that way rather than just put the bulb pin on. So at this point now I'm just finishing with the eyelet on the other on the other journaling card, which is always a process. I don't know why it just takes me longer to do this than some people. I know I've watched so many people do these in their videos, and I'm always thinking, it takes me at least twice that long every single time I try and do that. But anyway, so here I'm just attaching the little bulb pins, and then I pulled out my Sorry Silk scraps to find some pieces that were a little bit short that I could attach the little card to the bigger card, and so that's what I'm doing here. doing a simple one knot. Actually, it's not even a knot. I just tied it, but it's strong enough. It's not going to go anywhere. And so then at this point, I'm trying to decide where to put this, and then I decided that this one I wanted to add a little fabric tab to. So just tacking that down, and then off to my right I have my sewing machine, just handy. And so I just sewed a quick little zigzag stitch on that. And then I'll just paper clip it in. And so that's ready to go. Yeah, so as you can see, the papers are somewhat busy, but in some of the colors were a little bit interesting together. But actually, I really like the combination now that it's all said and done. I think it's just really, really interesting, actually. The whole journal turned out really fun. But it was at this point where I was kind of like, I don't know if this is going to really work together. But I made it work, and there were enough pieces of ephemera to make it look okay, so that we're not busy with decoration. So here are some strips. They're kind of like belly bands, or you can turn them into little tuck spots. And so I'll be using those throughout. Actually, I use pretty much every one of those, and the extras I'll provide at the whoever ends up purchasing this journal. I'll provide those for you, the little extra pieces at the end there. So just adding a quick little tuck spot here up at the top, and then decided to add some of that, or one of those pieces of ephemera there. And then these are little buttons, and I thought it would be really cute to use a button as like the thing that's holding that on there. And then preparing this, I did stain every piece of ephemera in this journal. So just kind of, grunched it up a little bit more. Oh, I was going to mention the 6x6 papers. Before I started filming, I actually combined those together with a piece of fabric, and then I sewed the fabric onto the papers. So the journal itself is 6 inches wide, and just over 6 inches tall. So it's kind of a fun little size, actually. Kind of want to do more journals like this. I just think they're kind of fun, just really kind of fun and different size from the usual. And I like having the extra wide, a little bit extra wide space for writing when I'm doing my journaling. So yeah, so this was a little extra piece from that belly band that I made on the other page, and I thought how cute to add it to that little raccoon piece of ephemera, because the raccoon had a little rose in its on its head, and the background was kind of flowery rose. So yep, and so I'm gonna add a belly band to this page here, and it's a little hard to see, but it's animal footprint tracks, and I thought that bear, it was probably the bear tracks. So added that cute little bear to the front of that, and then right now I'm just sewing the top and bottom so that it looks like I sewed it onto the page, but then I'll just glue it on at this point here. Okay, so just continuing on, decided to do a tuck spot on both of those pages. So yeah, as you can see here, there's the Louisa Heinzel kit is kind of a grayish tone, and then the papers that I used from that 6x6 paper pad have a brown, orange, sometimes green undertone. And so yeah, I was a little worried that they weren't gonna work, but these pieces of ephemera, like here you can see there's some bits of pinkish orange in the color, and it really does work in the end. Like I said, I wasn't quite sure, but in the end, I'm really happy with how it turned out. So yeah, so just turning this one into another belly band, and then I'm actually going to be going back through after everything is glued down, and adding the smaller tags and other ephemera into all the little tuck spots that I made. But here, this page with the really pretty sunflowers, I thought the little woodland creatures would be a really cute little belly band. So, um, prepping this to be added to the page. And then you notice too, I've been adding some coffee dyed index cards. So here's another one. I have those in two different sizes, and I'll add both sizes throughout the journal. Yeah, I think the size of the journal would be really great for adding photos to, as always. Um, and especially on those scrapbooking pages where it's a little bit busier of a pattern, but covering that with some nice photos of your family, or just whatever you've had going on during the fall. I think it would be a really nice little journal with all kinds of fun photos and stuff throughout. So yep, so just continuing to add cute little tuck spots here and there and pockets and things. Um, love doing these journals from the digital kits. Sometimes, like these, it's really nice to not have to come up with your own ephemera all the time. And I really enjoy, obviously, making my own ephemera and being creative and doing that all on my own. But also, there's other days when you just kind of want to not think too much. And this was kind of one of those times where I was like, well, I kind of just want to put something together real quick and see how it'll turn out. And that's kind of what I ended up doing here. So, uh, okay, so this digital kit comes with a few of those little word tags. That one says noted, I think. Almost like for a planner. So I didn't really understand that, unless maybe her digital kit was meant to be like planner ephemera. But anyway, so I added that one, and then all the rest of them I didn't use, but I'm going to include for whoever gets the journal. Yeah, you can see them up in the upper left corner of the screen there. It's notes and um, other things like that, to do, things like that. So I thought if you wanted to add those, you could. If you didn't, and it didn't quite make sense for you for the journal that you're doing, then obviously you wouldn't want to use that. But anyway, so here I have a glassine bag that's been tea dyed, and I was just covering the bottom of the bag when they fold up the bottom part of the bag. I was just covering that piece of it and just decorating the bag that way. It's not a tuck spot, but just wanted to add a little bit of decoration there. So that's what that was. And here we have just a cute, another one of her awesome little tuck spots that she did, and really, really love her design work. It's really cool. And so this was from a different kit. I want to say, no, this one's from the same kit. I think there were a few pieces from the Joann's brand, their Place in Time, but from several years back. Obviously, it's been a few years since I've done these, and um, I like the woodland creatures, and I thought that they would kind of go pretty well with the Louisa Heinzel ones, so that's kind of why I chose to use those papers. But I love that little yellow and white gingham check. It's just adorable. So it's kind of got a bit of whimsy and sophistication all at the same time. This is a really interesting journal in the end, and I'm just really proud of it, actually. I really like how it turned out. So yep, just gonna keep doing some putting down of little tuck spots and pockets and adding more places for the ephemera to be stored. Okay, so I'm at the end of the journal now, and at this point, it's all in one signature, and I'm counting the pages. There were 12 pages in the signature, and after I added just that much decoration, it was so chunky that I knew it wouldn't be very easy to write in, so I just split it in half and decided to turn it into a two signature journal. And so that's what I just did there, and now I'm just double checking to see how I wanted to really end the journal with this. Well, I guess this is the first signature, but the last page of the first signature. And so just adding a few more little tuck spots. Really, I just wanted to use all the pieces that I had, and I think I did that pretty well, actually. I don't think there were any extra tuck spots or pockets left over, and yep, found a new spot for this one because when I separated the one signature into two, then both of those were in that one signature and not in the second one. So, okay, so at this point, I've now added the rest of the tags and things, and now I'm just preparing. This is going to be the spine of the journal. So two pieces of cardstock glued together. And then before that were the front and back covers. And that was just one thickness of cardstock using some packaging that I had, you know, that I keep and use. So that otherwise would have gone into the trash. And then now I'm just not being as careful as I usually am, but gluing the fabric onto the front and back of this one piece of cover and cutting it not perfectly, which is exactly what I wanted. I didn't want it to be 100% perfect. Like, that's part of the reason we love these junk journals is because they're perfectly imperfect, right? So just doing the same thing for this other cover, and then at this point I realized somehow my spine piece had come apart and shifted, so I glued it again with some Fabri-Tac so that it would stay together a little bit better. That's the glue that I'm using here. It's Fabri-Tac. And so just finishing that, and then I went around the border with a zigzag stitch and a straight stitch in like a burnt orange color. And so now at this point I have prepared my spine piece. All I did was add those two pieces of fabric to the one side, and then I did take that through my sewing machine and sewed a big rectangle on the spine piece. And then now I'm just attaching the front and back covers to that spine piece. There's about 1/8 of an inch between the covers and the spine cardboard or cardstock. It's thicker than cardstock. It's like cereal box, but 2 layers of cereal box. And then here, you gotta fold up the top and bottom flaps of fabric to secure your spine in place. And so that's what I'm doing here. And there's glue everywhere. Got glue all over. So then at this point now I'm trying to find a piece of fabric to cover the inside of the spine, and I got lucky. This piece of fabric was the exact right height, and so decided to go ahead and glue that down because I was going to sew those signatures straight into the spine. But here I was trying to decide if I wanted to do a hidden stitch or not, and in the end I decided not to. So I'm just going to glue this down now with the Fabri-Tac, and make sure if you're doing this to spread it evenly with your finger like I did there. Otherwise, the glue will come through the fabric if you're not careful, if it's too thick, and make spots on your fabric. And, it's just not as cute that way. It just doesn't look good if that happens. So I always try and make sure and spread it evenly. And now I have that same piece of fabric that I used from the outside cover, and I'm gonna, because you can see through that fabric that I just put down, I'm just gonna add another layer of fabric here on top of that and glue that down after I get it all straightened out and how I want it to be. Again, being a little bit shy with the glue, but adding enough to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And smoothing it out with my finger, taking my time, doing it in sections. So I find a lot easier to do that, especially if your glue is drying quickly. Do it in sections. It'll help you out in the long run. Oh, sorry, I forgot to cut this part out. So at this point, then, I'm just doing a zigzag stitch along the side of each front and back cover, just to make sure that they just don't go anywhere, and give it some more decoration, too. So I'll show you that in just a second here, hopefully. Yeah, so just added a big zigzag stitch, and now I'm putting my signatures in, making sure everything's the right size, checking, and it is. The height was perfect. The width of the covers was just a little bit wide, but actually I kind of like that because then if you add more ephemera and papers and things, then it has some room to grow. And then these covers are a little bit bendy too, so I kind of like that. So now I'm making my template. I realized I haven't really shown you me sewing in signatures in a while. So I thought, well, I'm filming, I might as well film everything. And so I'm making my template for where to put my holes in the spine. And so this centering ruler is amazing for doing that. And I know some people don't like to make a template every time, but I actually don't mind it. I feel like my journals are different sizes usually, and so it's just easy to grab a scrap piece of paper and rock out a template real quick. And so here I'm just poking the holes through to prepare that. And then now I'm going to take a pen and mark where the holes need to be. I don't always do it this way, but I've found that it's been a little easier to do it like that lately. And now I'm using my awl to poke the holes through the spine. Okay, so now that those are done, I'm going to take my template and fold it in half. And now I'm going to use this for my template for poking the holes in to the signatures. And I know I do this differently than other people as well. Here I'm getting my string ready. Where I don't put my signature into a cradle or anything or a phone book. I just hold on to it. It's just the way I've taught myself, and it seems to work pretty well for me, so that's just how I do it. But here I'm just, finding the middle and holding it firmly so that the papers don't shift around. And then, take the template out and start doing your sewing. And so I wanted to keep my strings on the outside of the journal and hang some charms from them. And so here I thought I was sewing it the right way. And then it was at this point I realized I had it all upside down. So took it all apart, and now I'm starting it over again from the top. This isn't a typical pamphlet stitch method. Usually you would start in the middle and meet back, and your knot would be in the middle of the signature. But since I wanted to use my strings for the charms to hang from the top, I just decided to start here. And since it's a shorter height of a journal, I only did 3 holes instead of 5. Usually I would do 5, but just did 3. And because I used fabric to join those papers together, it was a little bit fiddly. So this actually took me a little bit longer than it usually does. But there you can see now I'm tying my knot and joining them at the top hole. Rather than in the middle hole. And so now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I always thread my needle first, and then that's ready to go. And so that way I don't have to move my hand from holding the signature after I poke the holes, and can pick up my needle right away and start sewing that way. So, but like I said, having the fabric pieces in between made this just a little bit trickier, and I feel like I probably added new holes a few times. I wasn't sure, but I think I probably did. So, but again, just going in the top hole, down through the middle hole, and out through the middle, and then back in the bottom hole, and then back up and through the middle hole again. And then now I'm going to tie a knot at the top as tight as I can, and keep my strings long. And so there you have it. So basically the journal is done now at this point. And I could be done or not. So at this point now I'm going to go get a bunch of charms and some of my old jewelry making stuff. And yeah, so just gonna gather some charms and knot those charms onto the strings, and then this will be pretty much done. Okay, so I know that when I have charms hanging from the spine of my journals, I like to be able to pull them up out of the way when I'm journaling. So that's what my goal was here. I started the charms for far enough down the string so that when you pulled them up, they would not make your spine have a lump in it. So sorry, words are hard today. And so yeah, I'm just kind of going through. These are some copper pieces that I had taken copper wire and made some spirals and things, and then flattened that with hammer and anvil. And so I decided to add a piece of that, and just was looking through some other random things that I've had for years and years and years from making jewelry that I really just don't use often enough. And so found some really pretty red glass beads, some copper things, some charms that were brass. There were a few charms that are silver. And yeah, so I'm just going to string these on and kind of have an eclectic mix of charms. Oh, and then these old keys that I just found at the estate sale just recently that I had a video up from a while back. I added one of those. Sorry for Cat. He was needing some attention, kitty cat tail, and just having fun on my table, which he usually does when he wants attention. So yeah, so there's a little bird charm here that's brass. I'll add that little heart charm, silver heart charm that's sitting on the top of the cover there in a minute. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, there's a number charm. It says 21. The number means nothing. It was just a Tim Holtz charm that I've had there at the, and then, oh, I think this is, I'm adding a butterfly brass charm at the bottom there. And then I know there's at least one owl charm too. So, oh, this is a copper, like, coin stamped charm with a word on it. Another Tim Holtz thing from many years ago. And so, yeah, just adding various things here. Some wood beads, some silver beads. I need to get some more of those silver beads. I've been using those like crazy. That little flower actually is made of leather. Another charm that I bought. So I think I'm on my last string here. Added that heart charm. And oh, adding some of these little discs that are kind of fall colors but metallic looking. Just added 5 of those, and then another silver bead so that it wouldn't go through the knot and fall off. And then the bottom piece there is a stone disc another thing that I've had for years and years. And then to finish it off, I added some sparkly, bedazzly with rhinestones, just a connector piece there that I had bought again, and then another little bit of sparkle there. So, gonna finish this off with some sari silk, but first I'll give you a little better view of how the charms look in sort of slower motion. I'm obviously going to do a full flip through and making sure that, yep, everything is up and out of the way for when you're ready to journal. So yeah, going to finish it off with a nice piece of yellow sari silk, and that won't be connected, but in the end, I like that better, so that you can expand it and make it your own. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.